measuring or face touching or face brushing. That can be really painful on my arms and shoulders. But basically, any triggers that are nice and simple to do, I like doing. Now, that doesn't mean they're the same triggers that I enjoy listening to, but honestly, any triggers that are just nice and simple. Tapping is always really nice, and scratching, crinkling, hair brushing, things like that, things where the stress is taken a little bit off of my arms. I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, but I'm pretty certain a lot of ASMR content creators struggle keeping their arms solidly out for a long time. It's a great arm workout, but you feel this intense burn throughout it. If you ever see me drop my hand during like a medical roleplay or something, it's because that arm has just given up and then I have to use the other one. So that's why I do that. Sometimes, depending on the lens or camera I'm using, having the camera on the desk right next to me is incredibly helpful because then I'm only bending my arm, not extending it. That's taken the pain away. What are some triggers that you will never ever do because you just don't like the noise it makes? Mouth sounds like ear eating or kisses, things like that. I hate that sound. So I don't think I'll ever be doing that, and I really don't like doing eating videos. I'm happy to make, but it's when it's like really mouth soundsy. So when you take the sound away from the food, like crunching is fine, but then when it's just all chewing or mouth sounds focused, that's another one I just don't like the sound of. So I try to avoid things like that too. So the next question comes from Foundfish5108. Do you have any pets? What do you do for a living? Do you play WoW Classic? What are the most recent games you really enjoyed? Number 1. I do not currently have any pets due to our rules for living here. We're not allowed any. Eventually we will have pets. I'm a huge animal lover. My husband's a huge animal lover. So eventually we will be having pets. I did have technically pets growing up. They were cats that wandered to our house that I very much loved. So I've always been a big animal lover. I spend a lot of time going to cat cafes because obviously we can't have pets currently, and I think that's just a nice middle ground for now. What do I do for a living? This question got asked a lot, and so if I missed anybody that asked this question, it's only because everybody's question kind of got sandwiched into one. So I do this for a living. I'm very, very lucky and grateful to be able to do this for a living, so this is what I do. Do I play WoW Classic? No, and I never will. That looks awful. What are the most recent games that you really enjoyed? I really enjoyed Shadow of the Colossus. I've really not played anything new since, but I'd like to find something new to play. The next, technically semi-question, comes from Capusanueli9665. I don't have a question, but I would like to know whether you still intend to upload the longer version of the 100 Triggers No Talking video you created 5 months ago. I was looking forward to that one. It is uploaded, but it has not been made public. I apologize for that. The reason is because I wanted to focus more on different sorts of videos first, and then what I'm gonna do is publish that video in January. So you will be seeing that one. It does exist, and that will be going public in January. So thank you for your patience, and I'm sorry for the wait. Heather5 said you like Rammstein, and I cannot quite reconcile that to your gentle content, despite being a metalhead myself. So I've pretty much always enjoyed, whether it be alt rock, rock, metal, different genres of metal music for as long as I can remember now. My favorite band is Typo Negative. I also really love Rammstein. I love Lord of the Lost. I like a bit of Within Temptation. I like pretty much all of Ghost's catalogue. The Birthday Massacre, some synth goth metal, synth wave, synth pop, a lot of 80s, some Genesis, some Phil Collins, a little bit of everything, really, but I've always loved alternative rock music, metal, genres of that nature. I think my first, I don't even know if you can call them alternative considering how, I guess, mainstream they are, but Green Day was my first intro into music that was slightly different to what was typically on the radio. And from there, I started listening to 30 Seconds to Mars, and Slipknot, and Good Charlotte, and Linkin Park, and Paramore. There was a lot of like emo, punk, and then it moved into screamo metal, Skrillex's old stuff. And then I kind of found that genre I really loved by the age of about 16, 17, and that's a lot more of like a bit of 80s gothic music meets 80s, 90s, 2000s and modern metal music. So by then I really figured out what I like in music. So my favorite music tends to be like Typo Negative and Rammstein, but I like a little bit of everything. Thank you. Cafe SMR asks, what are a few things that you found you like and dislike about living in the US? So, a few things that I really like about America includes the geography. There are so many different terrains and aspects of America that are so different to each other. Utah is a gorgeous state, and then you have Alaska, which is completely different, another gorgeous state, and then you've got just the chaotic nature of Vegas and Nevada, and then you've got the Northeast, which is so beautiful and historical and full of luscious colors. It's so brilliant the way that America's geography works. I feel like you could never leave America and still always be entertained or admire all these different parts because they're so different to each other. And sure, there are a few states that are similar to one another, but I still think that there's enough to just make them feel like they're different countries. And so that's one part I really like. Another part I really love about America is the choice of everything. There's a lot more choices for everything in America, whether it be the food you buy, the drinks you buy, the restaurants you go to. It's just, there's a lot of things to pick and choose from. I also really love the space here, because America is a big country. There's a lot more space here. In the UK, everything is so small and so cramped together that there's so much noise pollution at all times. And granted, I'm sure city life in America is very loud and full of noise pollution, but I just love that there are so many parts of America that have a lot more space to them, and with that comes a lot less noise pollution, which is quite ironic because I'm either hearing a train or a plane right now. But in general, it is just really nice and quiet, and there are a lot more places and opportunities for you to find somewhere to settle, to just have your own peace and quiet. system in the UK is awful though. There are so many other countries in Europe where trains are just that much better. Germany is an example of an extremely well-produced train system. The UK is a joke. I think everybody in the UK agrees that trains in the UK are a joke. But the views are stunning. Anyway, the problem with America is that even down to a pavement, there are so many places which look beautiful, but they don't have any pavements, meaning the only way you can enjoy the view is in your car. And I don't like that, because life, I think, is to be enjoyed by really being in that moment, smelling the leaves and looking at the sky and just really taking in everything that's around you. And I just think even down to just some pavements being installed would really encourage people to move around a bit more, enjoy where they live, enjoy other places, things like that. Another thing I dislike, I've been wanting to say this one, it feels like most people can't drive here. I'm just gonna say it. I just think that there's a lot of people that just don't know how to drive. Distracted driving isn't really, how do we say, nobody seems to care about it. Generally, I see so many people on their phones who are just scrolling away on their phone, not looking where they're driving. And I don't even think it's, I'm trying so hard to find the word. It doesn't seem to be discouraged by the law in a lot of places. I know lots of states are different to each other, and there are rules for distracted driving in different states, but it just feels like it doesn't get enforced, really, ever, that I've seen at least. So that's another thing. And I think when you have generally kind of poor drivers plus distracted driving, that increases your chances of a very terrible accident, in my opinion. Yeah, lots of beautiful pros, and there are, of course, some cons. Every country has both. It's just the way it is. Yeah, I think that's all I can think of for now. Okay. Next, Moogle Hunter. What's your all-time favorite trigger? My all-time favorite trigger is actually in a video that I made last month. It'll be out in November. I think it's going to be out after this video. And it's where the camera is really close. So my face is really close to the camera. And both microphones are right next to the camera. You can't see them, but they're there to mimic ears. I find that this sort of thing is okay, but it doesn't give the same tingles or feel or immersion as the microphones being exactly next to the camera. And I think that makes for a more authentic binaural experience. Whilst binaural is of course two microphones, I think for ASMR videos, the binaural sense of a video is greatly heightened by the placement of the microphones. So when the microphones are where the ears should be, in proportion to also where the camera is, it just kind of adds to the authentic ASMR experience. So that is my favourite trigger. Close whispers where the microphones are next to the camera. That's my favourite trigger. Another trigger I like is watching other people do things in videos that they aren't doing to the viewer. So Goodnight Moon has so many fantastic examples of this. They have a colour analysis on plushies, so they're taking care of other things and not you. And I think that creates a different view, lots of different sounds that you can't normally do. Just all sorts of triggers. They also have a chiropractor one where they do the same thing, and they also have it's like a spa experience. I think that spa and makeup and things like that is one of my favorites. And they're all tasks done on plushies, not the viewer. And I like that because it just creates different triggers. So those are my favorites. The next question comes from Some Dumb Ideal. What's your go-to Starbucks order? I don't drink Starbucks, or Dunkin', or really any of them. If I do drink Starbucks, which is about twice a year, I normally get the freebie on my birthday, and then one other throughout the year. It is the Caramel Crunch Ribbon Frappuccino. I get non-fat milk, and then leave everything else the way it is. The next question comes from James Fullerton 7471. Is it harder to make a wider variety of videos when you have the analytics that show a certain type is more popular than another? Great question. This used to be a problem that I just got so frustrated with, because there was a time when YouTube wouldn't tell you what's performing better or what's not performing better, because you could just see that with your own eyes. Now YouTube just treats you like you're silly, and then it kind of tells you for you. A bit annoying. But when that happened, it did make me feel greatly discouraged, because it's like, well, I don't really care about that information. Why are you making me care? But I found a solution for this. There are a lot of videos that I have had to retire, I guess, from the public channel, and they have now moved to Patreon. I get a lot of questions about, could you make more of these videos, or could you make more of these videos? And I would love to, but there are either so few people that enjoy that content from my channel, or it just isn't sent to enough people to justify making it. So on Patreon, I do make all those sorts of videos, book readings, gameplay, candy tasting, trigger assortments. All those things are found on my Patreon. So making exclusive videos in the last 2 years has completely increased my enjoyment of this channel, because I still get to make all the videos that I want to make without YouTube breathing down my neck about what's doing well and what's not doing well. I don't have to care about that, and I'm not being made to care or encouraged to care, because they just go to Patreon, and all the people that want to watch them and can pledge to watch those tiers get to watch them. I feel like everybody wins. So there you go. I've found my solution towards YouTube's pressure of analytic viewing. Next question comes from Ledvio7309. Is there a game you didn't like but played through anyway? If so, which one and why? I was thinking about this question for a little while before making this video, and honestly, no. If I don't like a video game, I'll just turn it off. For example, Control. I put that game on for about 30 minutes and I turned it right off. Just didn't like it. Sims 4. Put it on. Didn't like it. I think that there's an inherent pressure to play a game all the way through, especially if you paid full price for it, because you're probably not going to get the full price back if you choose to sell it. But no, I don't continue playing games that I don't like. I think that there are probably a lot of video games that deserve more time for them to be enjoyed. But no, I try not to play games for any longer that I dislike them. Bloodborne, for example, I didn't finish that. I didn't like that game either. speak English, and my second language is Welsh. It is very basic. I'm still learning and practicing. I would love to learn other languages in the future, probably Russian. I really like languages that focus on rolling R's, and I just think the entire language of Russian, whilst, how do we put it, strong, the language is so graceful. Each word rolls into the next so beautifully. So probably Russian would be my go-to, but dwi'n siarad Cymraeg ond dipyn bach. What's your favorite part of your culture? I love that people love Wales. I love that people love being Welsh. I think that's my favorite part. So many people are just so proud of being Welsh, and I can see why. We have the most fascinating history. Our geography is gorgeous. We have waterfalls and mountain ranges everywhere, castles in the middle of nowhere, towns built around castles, houses built next to castles. It's an incredible little country that everybody seems to forget about, but it is a beautiful little place, and I feel like if everybody could get the chance to go, they should, because it's fantastic. It's rich in geographical history. Watch is your favourite. I watch like 2 anime a year. I'm very fussy when it comes to anime. I think my favourite is Psycho-Pass. And the last one I watched was Monster, and that was fantastic. It's the same vein as Psycho-Pass, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. That was really, really good anime. That's the type of anime I'd put back on again. That was good. What's it called? Fate? Is it Fate Night or Fate Zero? I think it's Fate Zero. Fate Night? I don't know. That was really good too. All of those are my favourites. I like all of those. I don't watch enough anime, but I should watch more. I'm gonna try branching out a little bit and trying some more, because when I like an anime, I really love it, so I just need to find more of them to enjoy. The Midnight Smoker asks, have you ever had an idea for a project or video that you loved, but for one reason or another, you couldn't get it to work? Yeah, all the time. If I don't have, I think it's the knowledge behind certain stuff. So there are like certain lighting setups that I wouldn't know how to do, or currently don't know how to do. Recording outside, that's difficult because you need privacy, and then you need to have the camera set up for that, and then you need a microphone set up for that, and then you need to go certain times a day to capture the light. So they're all possible and they're all doable, but they take an enormous amount of effort and credit where credit is due to everybody that makes videos like that. I may get the channel name wrong, and I apologize if I do. Dreamscape ASMR makes an enormous amount of creative, beautiful content, outside, inside, all sorts of things. Just, they're fantastic at making ethereal ASMR videos, and I would like to experiment a little bit more. It's not that I'm unable to learn these things. I think it's just sometimes I struggle to wrap my head around new techniques or new scenarios to record in, so they are tricky, very tricky, but I think a lot of it comes down to just knowledge and learning. Yeah. Angel B Divine asks, favorite color eyeshadow? My favorite color eyeshadow is the bright silver that I used to wear, but I don't think it matched my skin tone very well. But I like that one. I like a shimmery purple. I like anything shimmery, but I think like a pink It's just, I think it can be really alienating to have too wide a variety on your channel. You could have gaming, medical roleplays, trigger assortments, eating videos and that, and I think that just kind of alienates a lot of people. Gaming videos tend to work when it's like the majority of your content. Otherwise, it can be a real hit or miss, and I understand why it's completely different to typical videos that you might make. So, they are on my Patreon. I love making them. CR15B asks, Smarties or M&Ms? M&Ms. Crispy M&Ms at that. America has gotten rid of crispy M&Ms. Devastating. They've been gone for years, and so anytime I make an order from like I don't know what you got, like a British food store online, I will order crispy M&Ms. I love them so much. Oh, and almond M&Ms are really good too. Next question comes from Jonas Pinamon 2063. Do you still play Final Fantasy games? I do still play Final Fantasy games. I just finished Final Fantasy 16 this year. I need to play it on hard mode though, but I do play Final Fantasy games still, and I'm going to continue playing Final Fantasy games when Rebirth comes out. I actually started playing Final Fantasy 1 like 6 months ago. I didn't get very far because it was just too different to what I'm used to, but it was cute. But I did play a little bit of it. The next question is from Quentin2099. What inspired you to get into ASMR? I thought it was a really fantastic way to express creativity. It was also a hobby that was absolutely achievable for me. Stay in my room, make ASMR videos. It seemed achievable. And I liked that you could diffuse that into being creative and helping people at the same time. This seemed fantastic to me. My inspirations for making my channel are Visual Sounds 1, Queen of Serene, Amal, ZD, who else? Maria, obviously Gentle Whispering, Lita, who made massage videos. There's got to be other people. Those are the main ones I used to watch all the time and still do. Community was a lot smaller. Didn't have as many content creators to choose from, but they're still my favourites to this day. Yeah, those are the people that inspired me to make ASMR videos. The next question comes from Gia Hernandez 6159. Are you still considering the RE4 Ashley Graham roleplay video? Yes, and I feel like this ties into the question that was asked before about videos that are just a little bit much to take on. This would be an example of that. I would love to make that video, but there's so many things that it calls for. An outfit, a wig, props, probably a picture for a green screen or a new background, different lighting techniques. I would love to, and I admire everybody that makes videos that really deep dive into backgrounds and themes, but it's difficult. It's really difficult. I want to make some sort of Resident Evil video, so we shall see. We shall see. Yeah. Darthsmack7090 asks, do you plan on retiring from ASMR at any point? I find it mind-blowing all these years later you still regularly upload. I also find it mind-blowing that I still regularly upload. I'm not sure that 15-year-old me, because that's when I started making videos, thought that I'd still be making videos at 26. I'm almost 27. 27 in December. But I just love making videos, but I don't think I'm going to retire at any point, but I do, or rather am strongly considering much. Just Goodnight Moon and Venus videos. I'm sure there are other people I watch, I just can't think of them right now, but those are my go-tos. And then after that I watch a lot of old ASMR content, just because setups were different then. Sound is very, very important to me. So yeah, I watch a lot of ASMR content from where they go to. Those are my two favourites right now. And the next question is from Fresh Cloud 6756. Are there any wholesome, funny, hey, excuse me, are you Laura from YouTube stories? And what's your favourite snack? I have been approached one time, I think. I'm a hypocrite, I don't go a lot. And that was actually at lunch, and the waiter very politely and graciously he came up to our table and asked if I was an ASMR content creator. I said yes, and they were just very pleasant, nice and gracious about it. But that's the only one I can think of. I've had people comment or message me after seeing me saying, hello, I saw you, and if you do ever see me in public, you can say hello, that's completely okay. I think I'd be really shy too, though, if I saw someone I liked watching online in person. And what's my favourite snack? I think right now my favourite snack has to be those Harvest snack peas. I like the lightly salted, and I love eating the tomato basil lentils. They're really, really good. I eat them on the side of everything. Half a bagel, gotta put those on the side. Just really, really nice on the side of things. I really, really like them. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my phone because there were some questions from Instagram. I normally actually have to leave my phone far away because the microphone picks up the noise from it. Okay. Next questions. I'm not actually going to mention anybody's name from this just because these are anonymous to a degree, so no names on this one. Do you stream on Twitch? If so, what is your channel? Also, how excited are you for the WoW news? I'm not super excited, I'll be honest. I feel like, or at least with me, once I stepped away of MMOs, I just never saw myself returning to them. I do not stream on Twitch. Next question is, what are your top hair care, nail care, skincare tips? Okay, I have no nail care tips, unfortunately, because I don't really do anything. I don't think. Hair care, always use a brush very gently through the bottom of your hair. Always use heat protectant before styling your hair with a blow dryer, curling iron, hair straightener, doesn't matter. Use heat protectant. I stopped using it for 2 years and that was a terrible, terrible decision. Use heat protectant of any kind, doesn't matter what it is. Skincare. Take care of your skin. Always wear sunscreen during the day. If you're going out, always wear sunscreen. Your skin will thank you 20, 30, 40 years from now. And keep it hydrated. Keep your skin hydrated. Don't overcomplicate your skincare if you don't think you can commit to it. Other than that, that's all I've got on that one. The next question is, are you staying in the USA permanently? At least for the foreseeable future, we are staying in the USA permanently. Though we are open to other options in the future. We may do them, we may not do them. Just depends. And the last question for this ASMR video is, what do you enjoy most about living in the US? What do you miss the most besides family? So, I love so many things about America, how different every part is. I touched on this briefly before there's just so many places that I visit them and I just love them. The contrast between all these places is so fantastic. The fact that Vegas is so different to Chicago, but they're both so fantastic. I love that. I love that so many different parts of America are so different to each other, and they're complemented by their people and the general culture. It's fantastic. What I miss besides family is honestly the food. It's such a strange thing to say, but I think for me there is an enormous amount of comfort that's found in food. Food is embedded in nostalgia. Nostalgia is embedded in food. So you grow up with these meals, you grow up with these snacks, drinks, things like that, and then when you lose all of them, you know, it's a sensory change. Even at Greg's, I miss Greg's. I miss Yorkshire puddings. You can get mix in the US, but you have to go on an adventure to find it. I don't know, it's little things like that. Yeah, oddly enough, I mean, walking around places and really getting stuck into things like Christmas markets